Hey, what's going on, everyone? We're on FakeWhale Live with an absolute legend, Coldie. He's like 25, Heineken 0.0s deep. I'm drinking a couple of Mike's Twisted Teas over here. We're super stoked to have you, dude. I've been a huge fan for a really long time. So to be able to get to talk to you and figure out what is going on in that insane head of yours is going to be a real treat today. What's going on?
Man, right back at you. Yeah, shit. I mean, absolutely. I'm honored to be here with you. You are the shit, and I was collecting your stuff even before I even knew you existed as a person. So, yeah, this is super exciting to shoot the shit with you. This is awesome.
Thanks, man. Well, it's funny, like when I was first starting out, like I think you were the first like big artist to even follow me in many ways. You and Sky Golpe essentially. So when you follow me, I'm like, holy fuck, like Coldie's following me. This is nuts because really what it came down to when I like looked at your stuff, and I think we can just get right into it, obviously. But when I look at your stuff, I kind of just see these creations that can't really be manifested through anybody else except your imagination. So I always find that to be a really impressive, insane quality. So I guess with that in mind, I guess you've probably been making stuff for as long as you can remember. But do you remember a specific moment where it clicked that just said like, hey, I'm making this shit that is unlike anything else that anybody is making? And were you blown away by it? Or did it just kind of happen over the course of, like we all have our heads down and we're grinding. Did you have to look back and reflect on that moment, or did you kind of experience it in real time?
That's a good question. I think a lot of this stems back to my love for stereoscopics and Viewmaster cards from the 80s. And as a kid, I would put the Viewmaster up to my eye and I would be transported pretty much like VR into this still frame, into this other world. Like sometimes it was like a farmer's market in Taiwan. Sometimes it was like old Batman and Robin from the 60s. Like fucking weird shit, right? But I was there. It was in 3D and it was real, right? So that just kind of soaked in my head. And then when I started getting my own like creative juices going and wanting to make stuff, there was this elusive search for that.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what it was. And when I was in high school, I was like everybody, like I wanted to look 3D, and like back then it was like a shitty bevel and a drop shadow, and it looked like it wasn't flat, right?
Yeah.
Looked like shit. But that's just where it starts, right? And then as time went by and I figured out that I could learn how to do this magical stereoscopic thing, it was this like mixing of art making, but also just like you said, kind of like faking realities in ways that, I think it actually probably started, I lived in downtown Los Angeles, and I was, fucking downtown LA is kind of a shit show, right? And, I'm walking around that thing, fucking smoking weed, like just wandering around, like trying to freelance jobs, but I have no jobs. So I'm just like walking around, and I'm envisioning UFOs flying over downtown, and I'm just like looking up at the skyscrapers and just fucking, letting your mind go. And then I was like, I could actually make one of those. So then I was like, well, what could I do? I don't have a UFO to take a picture of.
Right.
How the fuck am I gonna, like? Then it becomes problem solving. I'm like, shit, I have vinyl records. Obvious decision in my head.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm gonna take a picture of the vinyl record. That's the UFO. Put it in the sky. I had never made any art, right? Like I was a designer.
Mm-hmm.
I worked for LA Weekly, so I was doing graphic design all the time, but I was never making stuff for me.
Yeah.
So it was a big moment to make stuff for me, and it was never like, I thought it was cool, and I only make stuff for myself if it's cool. Like I don't make shitty stuff for myself. Like it's
agreed.
Right. It was just like, what the fuck are you doing with your time if you're making shitty stuff for yourself? Like, might as well be working for somebody.
Yeah, there has to be some level of enjoyment to it, even if it's a shitty product. It's like, yeah, if you're just grinding out like some idiotic traced portrait or something, it's just, yeah, there's no one. Yeah, I feel you there. Yeah.
And it's so funny I'm talking with you about this because like my demented mind it like manifests through your art. So like, and this has been going on my whole life. I think of these fucked up situations, right? Like, and you make them. Like, it's like, it's so great to talk with you because like, I'm like, what would Di do with this situation? Like, it would be fucking awful and beautiful at the same time. So like, making shitty things for people, like maybe we could collab on that or something.
We should, dude. Yeah, well, it's funny, and I think that like in many ways, I think that like both of our art, from what it sounds like, and like, you know, we've talked a little bit offline and stuff, but like from what it sounds like, a lot of our art initially was used as a mechanism for like, yeah, to manifest the absurdist thoughts that were going on in our head that essentially just had to be dumped out somehow. You know, like they can't live in there. It's too nuts. And then secondly, it's funny, I picked up this kind of vibe with you where, you know, we were talking about king cobras the other day and and so there is certainly this vibe that you have that's like a California version of some of what I think that many of us went through, kind of existing aimlessly through high school and just kind of wandering around, getting hammered, getting stoned, and not really having a ton of purpose. So yeah, would you say that also your art is kind of, because that's what I see in it in many ways. Like I'll look at it, there's one kind of this like whimsical nostalgia almost, I would say, like, and then there's also just those absurdist elements like in the fake news series and stuff where it's like, yeah, like we're all just wandering around as aimless, you know, meat sacks, just kind of high and drunk in trying to figure out a way, but also being comfortable with the fact that there likely is no way out or no, you know, just we kind of just exist to exist. So yeah, would you say that's like, yeah, it's probably similar? Yeah,
totally. Like you could only, like I can only control what I can do, like in my life, like, and it's for better or worse, that's like what I've done with my life. You know, it's like I try the best I can, and like especially when you're going down the art road, you know, you're just doing what you do, and like you gotta like do things differently just because like first of all you don't have any fucking money, and, you know, it's just like I'm gonna sit alone in my room for 6 hours every day, and that's what like you do, and then making shit. And like it's funny, I was on my laptop or on my old computer looking for files, and I just like open up these folders of shit I made fucking 10 years ago when I was just high like some night, and I'm like, holy shit, that's like halfway done piece of art. Like, what, I don't even remember at all what I was going through. I was like, oh, there's that. And that's kind of what this whole thing is. It's like it's a intelligent meat suit.
Yeah.
And like, the things that come out of it, who even knows if they're intelligent, but they're things, right? So I think it's just like recording those things.
Yeah.
Gives me some type of like validation of life. You know, it's just like, yeah, I'm alive. I don't know what is going to happen at all. I can only control like walking down the street and not jumping into traffic. Like I can control those things. But besides that, I don't fucking know. And I think that it allows me to like make what you're saying, like these fantastical situations or like, you know, outer space, like floating or twisted buildings, like things that don't exist. But I try to think about, could it? Like, why the fuck not? Like,
yeah,
you know, and that makes it easier for me to kind of rationalize this whole like existence. Like, maybe it's real. I don't know. I don't know what anything is real anymore. I don't know.
I agree with that, man. And I see that like in a lot of your stuff. Well, so, and it's really funny. Like when people ask, you know, like what your mantra is or like how you're creating, and many times I'll just describe it as myself as like a documentarian, you know, like, and I think you're similar to that too, where it's like, I'm just documenting essentially what I see. Sometimes it's through an absurdist lens, but it really is. And I've heard, God, I forget who I heard say this. It was a really eloquent quote, but it was like, it was a collector who said, like, when I buy an NFT, when I buy a piece of digital art, I'm buying the exact moment in time that like that person was feeling that exact emotion in their entire life, that led up to that point, which is like another. I always go back to this quote from Jesse, and I talked about it on a Spaces a couple weeks ago, but it was really funny. Jesse Draxler, who's this fucking rad. I mean, you know him. He's just a maniac, dude. But he got asked at this museum we were at, how long it took him to make a piece. And he essentially responded with every single second of my life up until that moment it came out. I thought that was just like such a beautiful way of describing what we go through as artists and everything like that. So yeah, it was cool. But so yeah, getting back to kind of the origin story of yourself, you've probably told the story 100 times, but is Coldie, because we called Coldies, like we would call those beers in high school. Is that like a straight up nod to just the King Cobra lifestyle?
It's not. No, it's funny because my last name is Colditz.
Okay, cool.
Okay. So I was in Little League. We're talking 4th grade. And I remember down the batting cages. And there's a guy, this guy, cool guy, buddy of mine, Brian Brown. And everyone's like, your name's Brownie. And he's like, oh.
Sounds good.
Okay. And then they look at me and they're riffing, right? They're like, holy shit, your name's Coldie. And I was like, that's better than Cold. It's like, or like Cold Tits or whatever the fuck people called me. I was like, I will take that. Thank you very much.
Hell yeah.
I got that nickname as a kid, right? And my entire life, like teachers, my friends now, like I have a friend I've known since high school and he doesn't call me Ryan. It's Coldie. Everybody, I'm just Coldie to everybody.
Yeah.
And so it was easy to like bring that into art because I already had a fucking name.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's a reference to like a beer, which I just think is silly, right?
Yeah.
So it's.
Well, it's cool too because like it really does. Then it goes back to like I think the nostalgic nature of some of your art too, and kind of like. When you say those Little League things, like I'm sure it was similar in California that it is in many places where the like Little League was just a hilarious, like, it was completely insane. You go out there and you practicing for like 8 hours a day in the sun and there was no water and there was nothing. It was just kind of like really shitty in many ways. I don't know if it was the same out there, but I don't know. We look back on it and think, oh shit, did you freeze up? Oh, I think we may have lost Coldie for a minute. But yeah, getting back to it, essentially just kind of describing the nature of Little League and just how. Oh, I think I lost you for a minute there.
Yeah, I'm back.
No, it's all good. Yeah, so I was just kind of cracking up about the like just kind of recreational sports as a kid, and there was a nostalgia for what was essentially miserable, like where it's like you got that nickname there and it was like rad, and I'm sure at the time it seemed incredible, and then looking back on it, it's like holy shit, we would stand in like a dying grass field for 8 hours with no water and just listen to some like lunatic with a huge dip in spit all over the place and just be chopping out these like 100-mile-per-hour ground balls. And it's just like, what the fuck? Like, I can't believe our parents even let us do that shit. And I don't know, it seems like that's kind of missing a little bit from today in some ways, where it's just you're putting these weird situations that like may not necessarily be the healthiest, but you're just like, fuck it, I'm just gonna go with it. And
yeah,
I don't know, it kind of applies to like what like what you've done, and what I think many are trying to do now is we're in a really weird situation. It's bizarre, it's just like peculiar and strange, and you took the plunge and went full time, like we talked about this. And so yeah, when did you know that you were ready to take that leap full time? I think that's something that many artists, myself included, I still work like a shitty ass job. And I think that there's this like huge hesitancy in bailing from that. So yeah, when did you know? And then was there that same hesitancy, or was it some momentous moment, or were you just like, no, it's just it. I'm just fucking doing it. I don't care. Yeah. Like, what did that look like?
I was very hesitant. Very, very hesitant. I mean, I knew as soon as I was making art, that's all I wanted to do, obviously.
Yeah.
So that was a big step where it's like, if I did this every day for 8 to 10 hours, would I like it? Right.
Yep. Oh shit, we lost him again. It's the aliens. I think the aliens are manifesting inside of Coldie's studio right now. But yeah, I mean the
And the answer was yes. Like,
yeah. Oh shit.
all right.
Oh, we got you. We got you.
Is my internet fucking up?
Yeah, I think you keep dropping. Or on my end you do.
Yeah. So I don't know if we can edit this. Whatever.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. We're all good, dude. Yeah. So you were. Yeah, go
you want? Okay, I want to do it every day. Great. So you know the whole time actually shit. Before all of this, I had a kid coming, and I was like freelancing at the time.
Yeah.
Like, oh fuck, like it's not good. Yeah, I need a fucking benefits and shit.
Yeah.
So I went down to the temp hiring place because I just need to work. I was like, I'll do data entry.
Yeah. Anything.
I can type, like whatever. Like I need fucking money right now.
Yeah.
Right. So my ego very low. Like I don't care. I wanted to do art and design, but that wasn't around where I live. You know.
Yeah.
So I was like, fuck it. I walked in there with my graphic design resume. Like I have a nice design resume. She's like, really, you'll do data entry? It's like, I need fucking money. Yeah. It's like, okay. Like, and she's like, every 6 months I get a graphic design resume. So if I do, you're the guy. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, there's no way.
A week later, I got a gig, right? So like,
okay,
it's crazy. Like, man, this is manifesting thing, right? So my ego is very low. I was just like, I'll do data entry, and I felt like the universe was like, okay, cool, you said you would do this shit job. We're going to give you something a little better, right? So I kind of look at that with my progression through all of this, right? So I had a design job from especially like 2017, 2018 when I was getting into crypto art and all that, working full time, you know.
Yeah.
And at night I would I call it trash time. Like after I'm fucking exhausted, all my chores are done, all that shit. I would go make art for like an hour or two, you know, depending on how tired I want to be the next day. And I would just grind, you know, just same thing, making weird, fantastical stuff that no one was asking for. It made me happy. And through that, I got to make a body of work.
Yeah.
And with that, I'm looking at people, like other people around me who were going full time, you know, like I was talking to, you know, Xcopy and Hackatow, and they're like, yeah, you know, we went full time. I was like, oh, and they're like, kind of like, I would get these responses after an interview. Like they would write me. They're like, wait, you still have a full-time job? I was like, yeah, dude, I do. It sucks, but I do, you know, like, and I'm still creating. They're like, I don't know how the fuck you're doing that. I'm like, I don't either. Like, it's chaos. So but at the same time, the hesitancy is art is a fickle market.
Yeah.
Right? Like for anybody, it's like, it's what people spend on when they have like just in not disposable, but like investment income. Like,
yeah, sure. Right.
And so to me, I'm like, wow, man, like, I don't know. So eventually for me, it was just saving up. I just saved, you know, I just tried to be prudent and like, you know, just make the best art I can. And like, after, you know, we're talking 3 years of seeing a positive, you know, trajectory and like, you know, taking a chance, you know, frankly, I was like, I think calculated risk, I can offset, you know, all I wanted to do was offset my day job.
Right.
So I was like, I think I can offset my day job.
Yeah.
And, you know, with that, you know, I had a friend who's a financial planner, and he's kind of like he's like, he'll help me out. He's like, yeah, dude, let me help you out. He's like, you could do it. You just got to, you know, have a fucking plan.
Yeah.
And so it helped to have somebody who knew that type of stuff, because I'm a fucking artist, dude. Like,
that's the thing, right? I don't know what the fuck is going on. It's like this is what we just make shit, and then it's kind of what we do.
If I had a stack of cup of noodles 5 deep, I knew I was good for a while.
Right.
That's how I count.
Couple Chef Boyardees, maybe.
Yeah. With some rice, you got a fucking week of meal right there.
Oh yeah, man.
You know, to me that helped to have a trusted person that
Yeah.
could be next to me and almost give me permission
Yeah.
that it was safe enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And, you know, when I left my day job, they were so sweet. Like, I never told any of them about any of this.
Yeah.
Because, like, it didn't
Yeah.
matter, you know. But it was pretty funny right when this was all starting to happen, I got interviewed in the New York Times. And so I took that printed issue and I showed it to my boss.
Okay,
like,
man.
Hey, how was your weekend? Good. How was yours? Good. Check this out.
Yeah.
He's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Really? I was like, yeah, I don't know.
One of those things. Yeah.
It happened. And she knew. She's like, she told me later. She's like, I knew you were leaving this job as soon as you showed me that thing. So, but it was that same trajectory, right? I was very prudent, and like I probably waited. Well, I didn't wait longer, but longer than I wanted to. You know? Yeah.
Well, it's funny. Yeah, it's funny that you say that too. Like, I think both. It's interesting that on many levels you're talking like universal signs and stuff too, or because I'm a big believer in that. I think that, like, you know, when you're being told to do something over and over again by the universe, essentially, it's like you got to abide by it, man. It's just something you have to do. Otherwise, like, I don't know what the consequences are necessarily. Like, I've never really gone against it, but it's just an interesting prospect. Like, do you find yourself a believer in that? Like, not, you know, just that there's some type of weird energy or force out there that's like pulling or pushing or
once I realized it, and like there was a bunch of times when I kind of knew it was happening, but I was like not giving it the credence that it like deserved.
Yeah.
Now I fucking see it all the time, and I can go on strings where I know that I'm either doing the right thing or I'm in the flow.
Yeah.
Bings like one after another. We're talking consecutive crazy shit that shouldn't happen. It's not a coincidence. I know the difference, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, number 7 got rolled 3 times in a row. Oh my god, that's fucking rolling a dice, right?
Yeah.
Weird shit. And it actually was. I'm in a string that continued yesterday. Even like, there's this crazy manifesting flow where these absurd things are happening that are in a storyline within my life.
Like, what went down yesterday? Can you get into it? Like,
no, this is a good one. Okay. So I was on a road trip with my son, and I had the Dave Grohl documentary on my
sweet,
right? Yep. And I'd already listened to it before. It's pretty child friendly for the most part.
Yeah.
And he's getting into drumming, so I was like, this is great. So I played the beginning part where Dave's talking about being a kid, playing the drums. Like, dude, this is awesome, right?
Yeah.
He's talking about there's 2 parts. It's this crazy story, dude. So 2 parts. One of them was he got introduced to this band in Chicago. I think they're called Scream. Okay. I don't know punk rock in the 80s.
Yeah.
I don't know. Don't know.
Who knows?
But Dave Grohl loved them, so that's a great start. So we're listening to this thing, and eventually my son asks if we can listen to some Scream. I was like, yeah, dude, like, good idea. Let's investigate. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
You know, like for 80s punk, it was like had structure and melody, and it was like, all right, that's pretty good stuff.
Yeah.
So now we're in the car. He's like, hey, Daddy, can you throw on Scream again? I was like, absolutely.
Let's go. Yeah.
Okay. So that's cool. Also in the documentary, after the doc was over, I was expecting it to be done. There was a bonus story about Dave getting invited to this celebration for George Harrison a year after he died in London. It was a cool story about how he made it there.
Sure.
And I told my son, because I knew it was called a concert for George. It was just in my dumb brain, right? My meat brain.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, that's a DVD. Like, why do I said, hey, we were on the way to the record store, literally on this road trip. Like, so he collects records. It's great.
Which is like, yeah, you can't ask for a better kind of collection from a kid. You got like the dumb cards or like whatever it is. It's like, yeah, sweet records are impassable. Yeah,
absolutely. So we're on the road. I said, hey, let's see if they have that DVD at the record store. The chances of this DVD being in the used section, 15-year-old DVD at the record store we're going to, not even in the whole city.
Yeah.
very low.
Yeah.
Right? Very low. It's an obscure thing. We walk in there, it's there.
Dude.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he knows this, the energies world. I said, hey, that's synchronicity. Like that means this is meant to be. Like this is blowing my mind. He got it. He's like, whoa. Okay.
Yeah.
So that happened. Then, oh my God, there's so many layers to this. Yesterday, his birthday's coming. Luckily, he won't see this. I was getting him a vinyl record, and my mom was there because she wanted to get him a vinyl record. And I'm talking to the store owner who loves us. We're in there like all the time buying records. And I told him, oh, we're listening to the documentary, and Dave was talking about Scream, and there's a guy, he's like, who's flipping through vinyls. He's like, oh shit, can you hear me? Okay,
yeah,
that's a synchronicity glitch right there. I like that one.
You know, right? It's like, dude, he's putting it together. Fucking
yeah. Like, he has cracked the matrix. The guy is like, oh, dude, there's a Scream record right here.
What?
I'm like, whoa. Like,
this is insane.
My town doesn't have one punk record at all.
Right.
Make that clear.
Holy shit, man.
I was like, what? He's like, yeah, I just flipped by it. Some guy died and gave his whole collection to the record store.
Oh.
And the guy's collection's fucking insane, first of all.
Yeah.
So I go and I find it. It's the album
that
we've been listening to. It was like, oh, shit.
So your son, you have to assume that he's going to be a legendary drummer at this point.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it lined up. And I told my mom briefly, I was like, Mom, if you want to give him the coolest gift of all time that will blow his mind, you get him this record. Like,
he'll lose his shit.
This is it.
Oh,
like,
that's
okay.
Yeah, sweet, dude.
And I can seal this. Let me seal this story off with a 10-year ago story that is gonna fucking make sense now. Makes more sense. 10 years ago, I live in Northern California. I drove down to Southern California for a benefit show for Dimebag Darrell, who had died.
Oh yeah.
And there were all these guys. Jerry Cantrell was playing.
Sweet.
Dave Grohl was playing. There was a bunch of who's who were going to the Key Club. I think it was like one of the Sunset Strip places. It was dirty punk grunge, whatever fest. It was just a love fest for Dimebag. I was like, I'm going to go. Again, I didn't really have a job. So I drove down, and prior to that, a couple years ago, I had shot Coachella, and I had an awesome 3D concert photo of Dave drumming with them Crooked Vultures.
Sweet.
Okay? And like that picture alone, very hard to get a good picture of a drummer.
Yeah. Impossible, more or less. Yeah.
Very, very good photo of Dave drumming in 3D. Like, so I had made these little 4x6 cards. I don't know why. Again, you make things for yourself. I had this card on this little canvas thing.
Sure.
I was like, when I was packing my bags to go, I had this, my intuition binged, and it said, if you happen to meet Dave Grohl in LA, you need to give him this. This is like all the dream shit. Okay.
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, yeah, okay. Like,
sure. There's no way, but I'll bring it. Yeah.
The chances there's nothing.
Yeah.
How the fuck am I gonna bump into Dave Grohl in fucking LA?
Right.
So it's in my car because I listened. I listened, okay? So I go to the show. Afterwards, I'm hanging out with my friends on the strip, just catching up for like an hour or so. You know, we got nothing to do. And it's probably like 1:30 in the morning. I was like, guys, I gotta just go to bed.
Yeah.
So I take off and I walk up to where I was parked, like in this little lot above the club. As I walk up, parked about 4 spots away, talking to 2 people. Dave, just chilling. And no, I'm like full, like half panic attack, half like euphoria. I'm like, whoa, okay. So I like politely get his attention, like, hey, I'm not a creeper. I'm not going to do anything crazy. Like, can I talk to you for 2 seconds when you're done? Take your time. He's like, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, this is crazy.
Just you shit your pants have cleaned up at this point. Yeah.
he's done, and he moseys his way over by himself. I don't know how that guy can walk around by himself, but he does. Yeah. And he's like, "What's up, dude?" I was like, "Oh fuck, okay." I took this picture of you, man, at Coachella, and I had 3D glasses on, and he puts the 3D glasses on like 2 feet away from me, and he's like, "Holy shit, Crooked Vultures in 3D," doing the Dave Grohl thing. I was like, "Oh my god,
yeah,
insane." So I gave it to him. I was like, "This is just a gift. Like,
have at it."
You know, I don't want an autograph. I don't want I have a hard time asking for autographs and things. It's just I mean, don't get me wrong. I take that back. I do get autographs, but at that point, I was like, it's not a time.
Yeah.
And it was a cool exchange. And then when we're leaving, this is that awkward and I was like, what do I say?
Yeah.
I said, "Dave, your art inspires my art." And he looked at me. He's like, "Fuck yeah, man!" You know, I was like, "Whoa,
oh, okay, yeah."
There's some when this story connected to that one, there's some fucking thing going on of manifesting with Dave Grohl. So,
dude,
I need to hit the guy. I didn't hit this guy yet.
Yeah, well, it's weird you say that too, because it's like, you know, I think that is the ultimate. That's the only thing that could have been said at that moment too. Like, it's literally the only thing that could have come out of your mouth. Yeah. And similarly, I think when we, you know, like when I was talking to you, and like when I talk to, you know, artists that I love in the space, it's like, it's really all I can say most of the time. Like, you know, you can say that you can say that you love their art, which, you know, I obviously do, but it's like, I think that next level of, you know, inspiration or some type of catalyst is the ultimate, you know, is the ultimate thing to be told, and the truest thing in many ways, because it's like when you see something that's so mind blowing, you don't, you know, it may not be a direct manifestation in your art or something like that, but you see it and you're saying like, holy fuck, they made something like this. What the fuck is this? How am I going to do something that's going to be as insane or something? So I don't know. I find that to be a really kind of true statement for a lot of artists that really love each other's work. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's, I've always gotten that by seeing live concerts.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm not a musician.
Yeah.
Like, I'm very musical. Right?
Yeah.
I sing. I love singing. But like, I took bass lessons. My ADD, the chances are less likely of all that shit than me playing note for note on a song live for 4 minutes. Impossible. That would never happen. Nor would I want it to, right?
Yeah.
But all of my 20s was spent in lines for concerts.
Yeah.
I spent all of my money and time. And I got laughed at because I kept all my concert tickets.
Oh, you're one of those?
You spent like fucking $10,000 on concerts? And I was like, yeah, the best investment of my life. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, have you not gone to concerts? Like, what are you missing out on, dude? Like, so what I get is when I go to a show, whether it's a great show, an average show, or a shitty show, is you see people creating on the spot art, right? Yeah. Performing, and there's an energy exchange.
There is 100%. Yeah.
And when I feel the different levels of that, when I feel the peak of that, and it gets into my brain, and I'm like fucking tranced out, like experiencing it, and like you look around and people are looking at you like, wow, that guy's fucking feeling it.
Yeah.
That's when I make stuff, that's what I want it to get to.
That's exactly right. And it's funny. So I was feeling the same way where like when I'm in a lull or something, I went to this like it was a band I'd never heard of. I just love doom metal, and this band Mortiferous was playing a couple blocks away. I'm like, I'm just gonna go and see what's up. And they just fucking rage, and you were just enveloped in this, you know, this insane sound. And the funniest part was I mean, you know, in many cases, I think I'm like sober at a lot of these shows where I'm just sitting there and listening to music, and people may think, like you're saying, like, this guy's fucked up. You're like headbanging and going all nuts. It's like, I'm sober as a damn bird, dude. But like, you know, it's just that much. And it does just throw you back into that feeling. It's like it's really funny too. I saw a piece that Sarah Zucker had made, like, it was this insane overlay. You probably saw it. I think it was her last super rare piece, but it was this like crazy overlay of all these colors that were just kind of interacting with each other in this really beautiful way. And the immediate feeling that I had about it was like, it was like a physical, like it was a physical distillation of what like I feel like when I'm creating art. And I think probably like you're saying, when like that energy exchange is happening, it was like a really like interesting way of like a physical way of looking at that energy exchange. It was very crazy. I was like super blown away by it.
Yeah, the energy at shows is really what like if we're talking about meat suit experiences, that's it. It's like getting an energetic exchange, not just like a high five or whatever you do. There's I have a story that's very pulpable. I fucking word it doesn't matter. I was at Coachella again, and I was photographing Hot Chip, and I don't know if you know who Hot Chip is.
Oh fuck yeah! I was a huge Hot Chip fan in high school. Big
in 2010, they were playing Coachella at the side stage. Like that's the best place to see a good band. Right?
Yeah,
very small, and like you're right there. And it was right when like Ready for the Floor. It was their that song was peaking. Like they were top Hot Chip. And the photographer situation is so interesting because you have the band on stage, right? And then you have the crowd, okay? And each of them are giving energy, okay?
Yeah.
If the band is bringing energy, the crowd reciprocates, or vice versa, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes the band will be off, but the crowd is so ferocious that the band steps it up, right? There's this thing, okay? Well, it was ferocious on both sides.
Yeah.
And the awesome thing was the photographer, I learned, is simply in between of these energy waves.
Right.
And also creating, but has nothing to do with either side. It's like the trench warfare. Like you're literally in between this war of energies. And I have never experienced something where you're not giving to either side, but you're receiving this fucking flood of energy. And there's actually one of the photos I took there, the light, it was super dark, and my cameras at the time weren't built for low light situations. So you go into problem solving mode, and my favorite photographer of all time is Charles Peterson, and he's the grunge photography goat. Like, I got all these fucking Charles Peterson books.
Oh, hell yeah. Oh shit, we lost him one more time. He'll be back. We know it.
Fucking Charles, if you don't know the guy.
Yeah. No, I'm not super familiar with a lot of photography
I got rugged.
No, you're all good. You're all good. Yeah, just like I'm like not super familiar with a ton of photography, honestly. Like I just really like art in general. Like that's the funny part. Like people were like, well, who were your inspirations and stuff? And I'm always like, man, in my hometown, like it was like we had a recreational vehicle museum instead of an art museum. You know what I mean? Like, and I didn't like, it was like, I don't really have that many, like, and then people would say like, oh, you're sometimes your stuff looks like Ralph Steadman or, something. And I'm like, oh shit, I obviously love Hunter S. Thompson as a writer. I'm like, dude, fuck yeah. So I've read, and I'm like, I didn't even know who was making those drawings, but it's pretty fucking rad. So yeah, I mean, who would you like? And again, we talked about this kind of at the top of the show, but yeah, would you say that you have certain other kind of inspirations behind your stuff? Because like it's your stuff is so unique and distinct, again, that I feel like it kind of exists in a plane of its own. But yeah, what would you say? I mean, like obviously sonically, I think that maybe, and that's the other thing that was interesting for myself and my artistic journey, was I feel like a lot of it was manifested from things that are not art or not their traditional understanding of art. It was like, music and then writing and reading tons of books essentially. So yeah, what would you say that you kind of found?
That's a really good question. I mean, there's definitely some artists that I love. I love Kandinsky. Love Kandinsky. Robert Rauschenberg, collage artist from the '60s. He's the jam. He's amazing. I just love like really distressed. Like I just like collect. Like this is a random.
Dude, that looks awesome.
It's fucking amazing, dude. Like,
that looks sweet, dude.
I've carried this thing around for like 20 years. I don't know why, but like, how fucking cool is retina damage?
It's badass. What is that? Is that a graphic novel?
Yeah.
I mean, it looks sweet. That cover.
Yeah, it's just got a whole bunch of like
sweet
illustration art. Probably like looks like 70s or early 80s or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm a collector of feelings. Right. Yep. So, I mean, I have a whole fucking pile of books over there that, I love Dada art. I love, Russian, like almost like propaganda stuff from like the 20s.
Yeah.
I love anything that's like actually a lot of Dada, I would say, is like kind of early influence because it's like the absurd collage and like substitutions for different things. And I kind of learned by seeing, the masters of that genre back in the early days, like, oh, you can substitute, like Duchamp type of shit, where you could just say, this is not a toilet. You're like, oh, okay, cool. That makes sense to me.
Nothing matters. Yeah.
Yeah. So like with my early stuff with the record instead of the UFO, that's just a substitution.
Yeah.
Right. So that helps me become my own like distinct, I guess, style. Just because it's just amalgamation of a bunch of shit. And I the more I can blend lots of different things together, it's easier for me because there's always that like imposter feeling. You're like, is this too much like a fucking Rauschenberg? I don't want somebody to look at it and be like, oh, somebody loves Rauschenberg a lot.
Right.
Fuck, I failed. Like that's not the goal. I'm not Rauschenberg's production artist. So, it's very hard to equate where it all came from.
It's like it's a lifetime. Yeah, it's a lifetime of emotion and experience for sure. And like you were saying, it's like that. It's like the Death Retina book or just whatever the fuck. It's like being at a record store for 5 minutes and browsing a metal record that you didn't even listen to but saw the cover of.
Yeah,
somehow just completely. Somehow implants into your brain, man. It's crazy. Like, yeah, it's weird. I was in, we were in Tokyo like 4 or 5 years ago, and I just felt like similarly to, a metal show or just any musical show there, it's like this like constant like sensory. I don't know if you've been, but it's like these like, it's just like constant sensory stuff. And I was just like flipping through mangas and like looking through all this like fucked up, horrific stuff that would like that is so incredible. And that like, it's just a book on, like you were talking about with the Scream record. This is like a used book at like a old vintage like comic book store with some of the most incredible art you'd ever seen, but no one would ever like even know that it existed. It's like holy shit.
It was waiting for you to walk in and like I think things like that, or they just like I think reality is so malleable that like once you allow it to be malleable, that shit happens more often.
I think you're right.
Like it's almost like every time you blink, it's like a movie script, right? Like every blink is a new reality.
Yeah.
And if you could kind of choose to like say, fuck it. Like I'm going to like not choose to have an absurd day, but just allow it to be there.
Yeah.
And I think those things start happening. And then the more you allow it to happen, it's almost like a signal like, oh, this guy's ready for fucking round 2.
He's ready to fucking fight. Yeah.
He gets the game. And I think could be how you happened to walk into that place at that time to be inspired. You created that, even though it doesn't seem like you created that.
Yeah, I think you're right. And well, the other interesting part about that, and it's a good, I guess, like kind of transition too, is like, those experiences, I think as we continue to like bury ourselves in technology and as we continue to like just absolutely like destroy, it's this constant onslaught of information and constant onslaught of like sensory, whatever it is. I feel like those experiences are happening less and less in many ways. Like, I don't know if you've had this as well, but yeah, just I'm like always, monitoring or like, thinking or like it's just this thing where I feel like those kind of peculiar incidents, like you really do have to submit yourself to it. Because if you're just buried, and it's such a cliche thing to say, where it's like everyone's just gooning around on their cell phones and nobody knows what's going on, but in many ways, it really does suffocate the ability to have those peculiar experiences and submit yourself. You know, there's only submission to, you know, to the people who are dictating what they want you to see. So it's fucking crazy, man.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of by design. I think that, you know, they want us to just be stuck in meat suit mazes and like get lost and pay taxes and die. I think the more that we realize that that's all like a fucking illusion that we opt into, like that's where I think, you know, us as artists, we can really step out and like do exactly what we want to manifest. Like, not like, oh, what's popular today on Super Rare? Oh, cool, 3D bouncing balls. I'm gonna go fucking make a 3D bouncing ball. You know, well, don't do that if that's not what you want to do. Like, peculiar, weird shit. You know, like I have a bunch of your stuff, and like, you know, I have a like kind of anonymous Tezos account. Fucking buying, you know, it's easier to buy when you know other people are, like, what you're buying. And so I had a bunch of your shit, and like one of them I really fucking love, just to give you some props, is the person fucking the Twitter bird. I love that thing. It's fucking great. You know, it's a very simple, beautiful idea. It's just one, you know. So it's like that is this exact thing where like as an artist, you kind of are seeing the Matrix, right? And like you made a piece of art about the Matrix. And like that throws everything on its head. You know, whoever's in control is like, God damn it, that guy fucking
here it is. Right.
That motherfucker.
Yeah. Well, it's like, and then with your stuff too, it's like it's almost like a reprieve from, you know, because your art exists in the world that we're kind of being bludgeoned into in many ways. You know what I mean? Like the 3D, you know, potential virtual reality that we're like going to be eventually all submit to, I think, because because, you know, everyone's predicted it. It's just like we're all just gonna be sitting there with a ketamine drip and just watching the fucking world go by or whatever. But the cool part is like when I think about what you're making, it exists in that world, but at least it's somewhat of it's a reprieve from the numb feeling I think that we get elsewhere. You know what I mean? So like it's kind of this like thing that exists that we can find shade under versus shade from the blue light onslaught that we're all dying from, you know? So that's like the part that I really appreciate about it. It's fucking awesome, dude. Like when you showed me that VR exhibit that was made, it was so cool because it was desolate and sad in many ways, you know, like, but at the same time, it was filled with all this like incredible art. I thought that was a really interesting, what's the word? I don't even know the word for it. Dichotomy, I guess, you know? Yeah.
Which gallery was that?
It was the one that you sent me the link. It was like essentially like it had like all these crazy pieces. It was in a VR world, and like you just like you walked into it, and it was like, well, when I walked in, it was dark outside, and it was like just this kind of like it was kind of apocalyptic looking. I'm trying to think about what
was it my portrait gallery, or was
I think it was the portrait gallery. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Like we can make whatever we want in there. It's so awesome.
Right. It's just nuts.
Yeah, and as long as you got somebody, you know, I can't build it myself, but like you get a guy who could build whatever you can talk about.
It's crazy. Man,
crazy. Like, and that part of VR I'm looking forward to, right?
Yes.
Like, you know, because like again, like manifesting stuff. Like I went to the Guggenheim when I was in New York, and I saw a Kandinsky show. Again, the chances of Kandinsky in New York when I'm there, very low. Went to that. As I'm in there, I'm like manifesting. I was like, God, someday I want my art to be in the Guggenheim. Lofty, very
lofty, delusional. Someone would say delusional at the time.
Yes, I've been called delusional by people. Go figure. And well, let's throw that on its head. I met the guy who built the gallery, and I said, hey, can we, you know, not copy the Guggenheim, but I love the way that the Guggenheim works.
Yeah.
So it was inspiration for that. So I kind of checked off my own box. I'm like,
I'm in.
It's in the metaverse. Fuck you. You know? So I think we could do that now. Like we don't have to wait for these people to come to us. We're going to create it ourselves and then let them catch up. And then they're going to be like, maybe that does work. Like instead of asking for permission, fucking do it. And I think that's the Web3 thing. It's just like, you don't ask for permission.
You don't.
I take that back. There's some politeness things that are good in life. But besides that, make what you want.
That's the part that has resonated, and I think has made me like, I feel like I fit in so well there because it's just like nobody gives a fuck. Like it's like, you got Robness, the incredible Robness out there just going nuts, and like Lamborghini comes out and they're trying to like sue people, and people are like, fuck you, like we don't give a fuck, you can't sue any of us. I mean, like a Lamborghini flashlight, I'm like, here you go, it's like eat that, dude, you guys all. So like, I don't know, I do find that to be hilarious, and again, like contribute to the absurdity of our collective existence in there, which I love and I'm fascinated by on a daily basis. So can you tell me, so you've been photographing concerts in 3D since before 2010, essentially, right? Or 2010 was around the time.
2009. The first time I pushed the shutter button for real at a concert was at the main stage of Coachella. Like
who was it? What you said, it was MGMT or?
They were one of the bands. The first band I ever photographed, because that's just when I got to the venue, was TV on the Radio, who I love them. They're great band.
Dude, yeah, where did they go? They were fucking awesome.
I actually saw them open up for LCD Sound System. That was a fucking great show.
Yeah.
That was probably 3 years ago or some.
Cool.
They were tight as ever. Like they were good back then, but like good musicians just get better.
Yeah.
No matter what they create, like if they keep going. I love seeing bands who are 10 years in because the shows are so tight into the next level. And that's where they're at. I was like, give me some more of that shit. But dude, the years that 2010 was like the heyday of Coachella for me.
Yeah.
Like, to have an opportunity to shoot bands that I liked, that was the jam. Like it was MGMT, Hot Chip, Beach House, Julian Casablancas from The Strokes. There's some folk bands. There was it might have been 2009, doesn't matter. Fleet Foxes, they were big at the time. Silver Sun Pickups.
Oh, dude, that is the climax of it's rad. Like 2010s, like indie rock was just unheralded. Clap Your Hands, Say Yeah, New Pornographers, all those people were just Yeah. So you start shooting these things with obviously no real intention, right? Like just shooting them. Yeah. Which I feel like is another kind of beautiful part about potentially. I mean, are you thinking about releasing any of these things that are like,
Yeah, so it's crazy. Like literally last week we're actually launching. We had a preview show in London at an IRL gallery, which again, mind-blowing shit. I made, like you said, I made this stuff with no intention.
That's I think why
intention of creation, but no like end goal. I don't know. Like I sent promo packets out to every magazine. Like I sent Rolling Stone, Billboard, all of them. These janky 8x10 inkjet rippled papers. With like I didn't know, like pretty kind of half amateur hour.
Yeah.
But, hey, I have these great photos. Do you guys want to do a special edition 3D glasses? Like, I got this shit.
Dude, it would have been insane too.
It's like I have all the photos for you, and I'm sure it just got thrown away or something. It doesn't matter. But I sending the intent, right? It's like, well, after all these years, now that VR, I can look at all these pictures in VR, and that's really what I was waiting for.
Yeah,
was full color 3D with your goggles, so you can see it with depth. That is stereoscopic viewing, And up until this point, it wasn't there, and I was waiting for a way to kind of use the NFTs with it once I got into NFTs. So this has been like a long time coming.
I was going to say, right.
Even like 10 years ago, or 13 years ago, I shot the first ones, and then, technology, and it all kind of makes sense in my brain, how I can package it. and I'm friends with Gazelio Art House in London, and they're big into VR and digital archives, and they're like a kind of a museum-ish of like VR stuff. So I pitched it to them. They're like, hell yeah, let's fucking do a show.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Like, you know, so I have a physical stereoscopic show right now in London.
Dude.
Yeah. And it's going to open up a kind of like a partnership opening in Seattle next week. I'm going to be at that to go see it there. So fuck, manifested that, you know, and it's really the most important project I've kind of ever made. Like, this was pure art before any NFT, you know, collectors, you know, simply me doing the most cool stuff for me.
Yeah, right,
like,
right.
They sat on my hard drive for 10 years, and I'd show friends, or, you know, they just sat on my hard drive, and I'd look at them and be like, I love these. And that's all it was.
It's really great. Yeah, like I'll go back and look at them, and yeah.
And it's fun when I would show, like, I went to Red Rocks years and years ago, and I saw Soundgarden at Red Rocks, and like bucket list, like crazy. These are all synchronistic weird things. But I was in the parking lot waiting, and tailgating, having a couple beers by myself, and met some people. And I happened to have it's kind of like a ViewMaster. You could put your iPhone on it and look at it.
Yeah.
And these random people were next to me. I was like, hey guys, you want to see some photos I took? And they're like, yeah, dude, who cares? Yeah, what do you got?
Yeah.
And he puts it up, and he looks at it. He's like, you fucking shot these? Like, what am I looking at? And like, they never met them again. They disappeared. But I loved going to randoms and showing them this weird treasure trove, and just getting a response. Like, I don't care if they thought it was shitty or great. It was just like market feedback. And it was great because everyone's like, I have no idea what you did right there, but that is great. I was like,
sweet. Yeah.
Peace. I'm going to have another beer, you know?
Yeah.
So now's a chance to get those into, like, the same thing as just sharing. I don't ever I really don't ever care if people buy my stuff. Like, obviously now I have to pay bills with it. So that helps. But like, the essence of making art for selling is those pollute each other.
Dude, it's brutal, man. Yeah, creating to cater is like the worst feeling. You know, when you're like you said, the bouncing balls or like a floating if you're catering to that, you lose like the spirit of, you know, the intent of what it means to make something truly unique and stuff. So yeah, your hope is that people look at those photographs and experience like the immense happiness or the immense like overwhelming whatever feeling you were feeling at the time when you took that versus anything else, you know, which So, well, so are people, so they go into this thing and then everyone is given like, are they going to be wearing goggles or?
Yeah. So what I'm doing is I'm selling these as like a bundle of assets.
Okay. Cool.
I want people to be able to ingest them however they can and want.
Yeah.
So at the show, there's 3 different versions, which are what they're going to get if they buy the NFT, right? So there's the red and blue anaglyph glasses.
Yeah.
So there's a screen that has those showing. There's a screen that has the animated GIF that wiggles back and forth. Right? Yeah. Everybody can see that. And then there's a VR headset where you can see them in VR.
Cool.
Right? So it's a simple show in terms of what's going on in the room, but it's dynamic because it's showing these pictures in 3 totally different stereoscopic ways, but all the same assets.
Yeah.
So it's really the most important thing I have. And it's actually really hard in a sense to like sell them, even though it's all an illusion. Like, what's the difference? It's been sold to my hard drive for 10 years. You know?
Right.
You know, like it's the way I look at things more and more, it's you don't know, like, our fleshy meat suits are very delicate.
Yep.
Are very, very delicate. I did not honor that. And luckily I'm still alive. Like, I fucking trashed my meat suit for 10 years. Like my 20s were like,
Same
how
with me.
raw can I make this meat, you know? And still good, right? I did that and I made it out, right?
Yeah.
So now I'm like, it's there's nothing about holding back. Like I things need to be exposed out for everybody, even just so for me, like if my fleshy meat suit vaporizes, you know, what a shame for that
Oh, dude.
hard drive or any creation. You know,
Yeah.
I'm sick of like, oh, not time. I'm not that guy. I'm like,
No.
if it's done, it's out.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know?
there is an urgency to, you know, to share. I completely agree with that. Like, you know, there's the potential that, you know, like you said, you evaporate tomorrow, and then those things are just lost in the abyss. Like, I think there was this incredible story about this old man who, and this is how I assumed I was going to go, because I'd like, similar to you, I was painting all the time, and just nobody wanted anything. I probably had 300 paintings at my house, and I just gave them away for free. Like in Chicago, I was just like, hey, you guys can just have them. And like people would drop off art supplies in my place, and I would like paint something and give it out for free. And I'm like, whatever, it's, you know, as long as it's being enjoyed. But so there was a story about this old man who like had, he'd like created this, you've probably read about this, but he had like 5,000 statues in his backyard that he'd just been making for his entire life. Nobody knew he was making them. And then he died, and people were like, holy shit, dude, this is crazy. Like, this is an insane, like, you know, accomplishment. Like, how did no one know about this? But yeah, so there's this urgency that, yeah, you want people to enjoy the things, and to also, you know, just have the potential to even minutely impact somebody's day in some way, you know, like whether it's just a vague passing, you know, laugh or something like that. It's just like, dude, just anything, you know, anything to pull us out of, like we were saying, this like crazy onslaught that we all experience. So I think I have one more question for you. So this is obviously a Tezos based pod. FakeWhale is a fucking rad curation. They've got this nuts ass vault with all these incredible artists in it. So can you give me a little bit of insight? Like, what's going on? Are you thinking about a Tezos something or another?
Yeah. So I've been, so like I said, I've been collecting Tezos since the early hen days.
Yeah.
So like from a collector side, you know, I got into it and I saw the art that was going on there. It's like super exciting shit.
Yeah.
I've always just kind of like been looking at it as an artist and just kind of like thinking of what the right reason, you know, some reason to go over there. And I just love how it's still growing and people, you know, it's not, I don't even care what people think. It's just a good time.
It is. Yeah. It's
experiment, you know, like I've experimented on a bunch of different ways, and you know, I've always been hesitant to do anything not on Ether, just because I know Ether works.
Yeah, right.
But I'm definitely going to be releasing something.
Nice, dude. Fuck yeah. Well, it's funny, and to kind of bookmark that, it's like your stuff I've always seen, and it's like it would have fit so fucking well in the early hen days, dude, because like it's just crazy. It's like, you know, nothing like anyone's ever seen. It's punk as fuck. It's just like, yeah, so it fits the mold of just, you know, a crazy ass mosh pit, like just orgy of content. Everybody's just going nuts and raging. There's no rules or anything like that. So I always thought, like, when you collected a couple pieces from mine, I'm like, holy fuck, this is insane. But I always felt like, holy shit, like, yeah, your stuff would have fit like insane. I mean, it fits really anywhere. But I was like, this would have been a rad Hick and Nuke time, dude. Like,
yeah. I know. I shoulda, coulda, woulda. I think it would have been really amazing. And like, it's actually funny. I don't even know if I want to talk about this, but like,
you don't got to.
For a time, I was gonna do like a fake fake account and like make other art.
Yeah.
Because I just like, there was a time and a place where that could be done.
Yeah.
Onslaught of people, like every artist in the world that's great is now here. Like, it would just have gotten buried. It wouldn't have been fun to do. It just would have been.
Yeah.
Released a single piece. If someone could find this one, that'll be a little. I made a single piece one time, and I released it on Rarible. So if you
Holy
want to find that one,
just sitting. Nice, man.
it's sitting.
Holy shit.
But like that would have been a great time to go do something like that.
Yeah.
But I think I was doing the same thing that I was hoping to do for other people early on. Was when I started in 2018, my true goal and intent was to be a guinea pig so that the big artists like Shepard Fairey and Banksy would be able to see that art could be exchanged digitally. Yeah, that really was why I got in. Also to share my stuff, but there was nobody collecting, and I was like, you know what? Let's see how this thing works, and I hope that there's people watching that need to know that this works and that they'll hop in, right? And since then, Shepard's done it, and like, I definitely don't take any credit for any of that shit, but I think collectively we had to do that.
Yeah.
Beyond for everybody who came after us, right? Yeah. And that's kind of happening now with Tezos, right? Like I'm on the other flip side of that. I was like, is this going to be a viable ecosystem? Are people going to exchange and collect, and is that going to work? And it is, right? And it is. So I'm kind of now in an awesome fractal on the other side of it, where I'm like, yeah, cool. The collective Tezos community has proven, to me being the grandpa of like, oh, I guess it's time for me to hop in. Like it's probably, the coolness factor I missed.
Yeah,
it's still very cool, but I'm ready to hop in, and I'm, I think that'll be fun to
hell yeah,
fuck around.
Yeah, well, it's funny, like you said. I mean, it's like, to open up the realm where Tezos or really anything could exist in the digital world. It needs that proof point, because otherwise, people are just there's no way that people are just going to buy something thinking that it's just gonna it's just wasted money, right? So like I always look at like you and Matt Kane and Sarah and a bunch of others who just laid that groundwork. And I'm like, holy fuck, dude. Like I'm thankful as hell to be following your guys' footsteps, be kind of peers with you guys, because it's fucking rad. And so with that, dude, I just want to say, thank you so much again today for talking with me. Thank you, FakeWhale, for putting this thing together. They're always great. The curations are awesome, and they're a fucking rad team over there. But with that, I don't know if you have anything else to say. I just wanted to thank you, man.
No, I mean, I want to thank you. I feel like I want to have an interview talk with you. So many fucking questions. But like, it's awesome because we are peers, right? I think that it's fun because, we live in different parts of the nation. I mean, we're in the same nation. That's close. But like, it's cool to meet like-minded people that are just as unique and weird and like themselves, and I that's what I loved about your art, and I just kind of knew already like we would get along once we met, and I think this is a great way to start that. And like, your shit is fucking demented. Can I show the painting that I have of yours? I really want to
show it, dude. I would love it. So to preface this, I sent Coldie. So dude, he's been, obviously, like we were talking about, an inspiration in many ways, like looking at his pieces. So I just said, like, dude, I want to send you this fucking piece because in many ways your art has, like he was saying to Dave Grohl, has inspired a lot of the shit that I make. So I want to send you something. And so this is the piece that I sent him. He'll show it right now. It's a man playing Goldeneye at Best Buy and just huffing a huge can of duster. Just having the best time of his life. So that's like, it's peak happiness for me in my mind, a nostalgic moment. And so I was happy to share that with Coldie, dude. I was so stoked.
It's so awesome. It's so great. And so like, it's in my studio. I love this thing. Nice, next to my little Fuocious posters, I got this nice little like friends area. It's funny because like my son, I'm always showing him all, like not everything, but like I show him all the art I collect, and he detests this thing. He's like, why? Like, that is why. He's like, what? Why is that even hanging up? Right. And like, it's beautiful because like I would actually say that's a compliment.
Oh, I agree. Yeah.
it's staying. And I told him it's not coming down. It's staying.
It's not coming down, dude. Yeah,
I
I think
you're gonna get this thing, and it's gonna be in your kitchen. You know,
yeah, he'll have to like explain it to his wife or husband, and he'll have to like just do whatever he's gonna do. That is, it's gonna be great, dude. I'm picturing that day. I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be hilarious.
We'll be in like nursing homes, and he's gonna like call you up and be like, "What the fuck were you thinking, dude?"
Right? I'm gonna be like, I don't remember making that piece.
What? Excuse my ignorance, but what is dust? What's a duster?
Oh man, that was a high school, a classic high school way to get high on the cheap, dude. So it's like literally computer duster. You like spray your computer to like clean the keyboard with.
Yeah, I know that.
Well, sure enough, I mean, it's a compressed air, so it's right for huffing. And so people would just people would just take that and literally just huff it. I mean, it's insanely toxic and horrific.
Yeah.
It was a similar sensation. I don't know if you've done like nitrous before, but it was a similar sensation. Whippets. Yeah. So similar sensation, just roasting 10,000 brain cells in 5 seconds, where you're just like, whoa, like just feeling all fucking weird and like you're just about ready to pass out and stuff. It was, great.
Okay.
Yes.
I love it. I wanted to ask what that was. Now it makes sense.
Yeah. Just a huffable compressed air. Well, dude, thank you so much again for joining. Thank you, FakeWhale. Appreciate it. This was so fucking fun. Yeah, we'll have to do it again at some point, but this was great, man. Thank you so much, dude. Thank you.
And thank you, FakeWhale. I'm glad to be a part of this. And let's just do more of this fun stuff.
Hell yeah, man.